All right, thank you very much, Mike. Well, a large pool of money that was available to Butte for economic stimulus is now dried up.
MTN's John Amy tells us how the Hard Rock Fund emptied and what that means for the city's future.
Butte recently used the last of its $4 million in hard rock mining funding. All hard rock mining companies, like Montana Resources and Butte, pay into this fund each year, but it only becomes available to the communities in the event the mine shuts down. Butte received access to this fund when Montana Resources briefly shut down in the early 2000s.
We don't ever want it to happen again, right? But once it does happen, it allows access to these funds.
Over the years, Butte used these funds to help several businesses in town either locate here or make renovations. The relocation of the Starbucks building to the former Hastings parking lot used the last $11,000 of the Hard Rock funds. And now that these funds are depleted, the city will have to find other incentives.
We can look at it in our community as different ways that we can create some pools of funds for local businesses and others, and other incentive packages, ways for them to receive some assistance for projects.
And while the city would much rather have Montana Resources remain operating over having access to hard rock funding, still, when they did have access to that funding, it was a great incentive for economic development in Butte.
Because that is something businesses look at, our industry looks at when it comes to a community. They definitely look at incentives. Companies look for incentives when they're looking at locating in a community.
Meanwhile, the Butte Mining Company continues to pay into a fund that Butte hopes it will never have to use. In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Burns says that the Starbucks company plans to use part of that $11,000 to demolish the former Hastings building located on its lot.